What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down the dive release. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the situation to use the dive release, how you guys can use this dive, and then what exactly is it, and then just the technical points behind this release. Okay, so I hope this video gives you guys some value in just in terms of how to create some separation off the line. But also, guys, if you're a receiver and you want to improve your route running in 10 days, you want a specific 10-day process with specific drills designed to improve your routes in 10 days. We break down everything from the release all the way up to the stem, all the way up to the break point, to the acceleration out of the route with specific drills designed to help your route running improve in 10 days. Specific 10-day process. Check out that very first link in the description, fellas, to get access to that video. Let's get started. So this first clip here, we're going to be looking at this new film from Dez Bryant right here. This is something that we haven't covered before. This is something he posted the other day on his Instagram. So we're going to be talking about what this kind of does and how he's able to get some separation on a goal line fade. So let's watch this thing full speed. So you see how he dives to the inside. So that's what that dive release is. The dive release is kind of the opposite of a diamond, right? So the diamond release is when you guys got to run a slant and you take 3 steps on a 45 degree, get this DB to turn his hips and run with you, and then you break it back underneath him, right? So it's kind of the same idea. You could do this off a little hesitation like Dez does right here. Oh, my bad. You can do this off a little hesitation like Dez does, and then he takes 1-2. But it's really just 2 steps to the inside. You're breaking off your leg, so you would be breaking off of your left leg. In this case, if you were on the other side of the field, you'd be breaking off your right leg, and you're shooting back to take an outside release. Now, since this is a quick 2 steps, I like this in really a whole lot of different situations, right? It doesn't necessarily really affect timing with the quarterback a whole bunch. If you're getting caught up here in your hand fighting and you get completely rerouted and stuff like that, or maybe it's like a cover 0 situation where the quarterback's going to be getting pressure, I probably don't necessarily want to go with this, right? But when it's a regular, just maybe simple 2-man situation, regular man like cover 1 where the quarterback, we know he's got a little bit of time, that's when I maybe want to come off with this thing, right? So now the technique behind it, that's what we're going to talk about in this clip. The whole goal is we got to commit my upper half, I got to commit my shoulders, I got to commit my hips, and I got to have speed, because that's what gets this DB to sit down and bite on this thing. That's what gets this DB to commit his hips and run with us, right? So we take that little hesitation and I go 1-2, and you see how Dez, shoulders are committed, hips are committed, and he's very sudden with this break, right? There are no indicators that say he's going to be breaking back to the outside. What are we trying to sell here, fellas? That's how we have to think about every single route. What am I trying to sell? And in this case, I'm trying to sell drag. I'm trying to sell drag, trying to get this guy to commit his hips, trying to get him to sit on this thing and then break right back off, trying to get him to bite on this drag fake. Maybe we hit this guy with a lot of drags. That's something that could happen a lot. Maybe we like to run a lot of drags. We're a drag-heavy team. We like to run a lot of mesh concept. You're out of the slot. You know you got to run like maybe a 10-yard speed out or something like that. You get this DB walk down and press. You got maybe a yard or 2 like in this catch technique. Maybe I go with the dive release, right? Because we want to sell like I'm trying to cross the DB's face. Now, the reason why speed's so important right here, the reason why Dez having speed off the line and really bursting to these next 2 cuts is because no DB wants to chase a guy, and especially in one-on-ones, this is probably not something that's going to get you the most separation because there's no threat of a drag. Who runs a drag in one-on-ones? That's you're not getting any better like that. Nobody really wins with that. Nobody gets any value out of just running drags in one-on-ones. But when you're in an actual game scenario where scheme matters, where play concepts matters, that's what's going to get a DB to commit is speed, because no DB wants to chase you 53 yards across the field. No DB wants to just, I'm going to turn and run, I'm going to let him get my inside, I'm just going to chase him, I'm going to play his chase game the whole time. So that's what gets the guy to overcommit, right? When I get him to overcommit and I'm able to put the brakes on like we do, I'm able to accelerate, I know which hand do we have to beat when we want to take an outside release. If you've been watching this channel, if you're familiar with this channel, you know that you just got to beat this outside hand when you want to take an outside release. It's not that complicated, and this is a ton of separation at this level of football and in the red zone, right? There's all the separation we need for the quarterback to put a good ball right over the top. That's a great job here by Bryant. Let's watch this thing again, full speed one more time, working this dive release. So again, dives to the inside, pops this thing off, swats that hand, and accelerates to that back corner. Now we're going to be looking at this route here from Calvin Ridley. So let's break this. Let's watch at full speed, then we'll break it down. So same thing. He just goes straight there, and you see how he's running kind of like this dig route off of this, right? So that goes to show, again, that if you do this effectively and you do this without wasting time, you could really work this type of release on kind of almost any different kind of route, right? The other day I was at a field and there was another coach there working releases, right? And they were working like this kind of like slide out here, working a double, then taking an inside release, then working a rocker step on a dig. That's so incorrect that it's not even funny, because that's not going to work. You're not going to be able to take, that's not going to, especially in man coverage. Don't even get me started on the timing of the play, but especially in man coverage when the quarterback is getting 6-man, 7-man pressure, and you're working a slide and a double tap to the outside, then an inside release, and then you're breaking down in 3 steps on the top of a dig route. That's not going to work. You need to come out with something quick. You need to come out with something efficient and explosive to get you off the line, right? That's somebody, if somebody's teaching that where you slide and then you do a double tap and then you go run a 12-yard back to 10 curl, they'd never have understood how timing works, A, and they don't have any clue or any concept of what a quarterback is doing back there and how fast he has to go through progressions and what a pass rush is, and they have no idea about protections. They have no idea about a blitz, right? That's why having a high football IQ as a receiver is important, right? So this goes to show right here, Ridley, high football IQ receiver, he's not coming off the line even because one-on-one's doing this little slide, hesitate, 1-2, outside release, rocker step, and then break it down. He's not wasting time. He's getting up in there efficiently. It's all about being efficient, getting out of your breaks, least amount of time spent possible, creating energy, and accelerating back to the ball. That's it. That's all it is. So you see when he comes off the line here, he just kind of goes straight there. He just goes straight up that front foot. He takes a little bit of his hesitation step right here. All this does is serves to shoot him out for 2 aggressive steps. And again, you see, shoulders are committed, hips are committed. He's in stride. He's got great speed. That's what forces that DB to turn his hips. And again, this break, the only way you're able to change direction when you're running full speed is by being sudden with that break. If you're running full speed, you're attacking across this guy's face, you're running fast across his face. The only way you're able to change direction to shoot back outside is by being sudden with your feet. And if you can be sudden, that can create explosion. And that explosion will get you back up into that route. Now, you see how this DB doesn't commit all the way? That's what I was saying about one-on-ones, right? If this was a game scenario and we were going to do this, I would just run a drag next play. If he wants to stay disciplined and just shuffle with me, all right, let's run a drag. Let's just beat him across his face. Let's run a mesh concept and get it to my playmaker and let him go get 25, right? So the thing is, when it's one-on-ones, it's a little tricky with this type of release. Live game scenario, you're going to see it in the next clip. That's when that DB is going to turn his hips and run, or if we sell it correctly, that's when we could get that DB to turn his hips and run. Let's watch this thing again, full speed one more time. So again, dive, release, 1-2, swat those hands, get back up over the top, run this dig route. Make sure that whatever move we decide to do, fellas, it times up with the play. I don't like seeing anybody. I don't like you run a bang 8 timing post. This is another thing I saw that coach teaching that at the field that I saw, and it's not. I don't mean to pick on this one guy because there's a million other coaches like this who have no concept of football IQ, no concept of pass rush or anything like that. You shouldn't be running timing routes off of a slide release where you hesitate. Okay, like you shouldn't be running a bang 8 post, 3rd outside step, and the quarterback's only taking 3 steps and needs to get the ball out of his hands because he's getting 6 or 7 man pressure, and you're running a slide release, break him off, inside release, rocker step, and then you run this post. It's not going to work. Timing isn't there. You're not going to be at the window when the quarterback needs you to be there. So make sure, fellas, that's why I included this clip specifically. Make sure that if you do decide to go with these releases, right, they're efficient, you know when to do them, and you know the situations to use them in. Let's get to this next clip from Samuel. So this here, he's going to be working kind of this like double us, so 1-2, then he dives into this thing, right? And he's running this quick 5-yard out. Now you see how he's got stuff underneath, right? So again, this quick little 5-yard out here, again, this might be kind of like a 2nd or a 3rd read, right? So we got time to navigate on this release. We got time to throw a 1-2 before we actually dive. So there's some time to let this play develop. If he was more of a first read, he might just go with a straight double up or just a straight dive, so the timing's there, right? But because we have things underneath, quarterback's probably looking from 1 to 2 to maybe 3 or something like that. I don't know actually the whole play, obviously, because I'm not in the 49ers organization. However, we can pretty much assume that based on the timing of the release that he is not a first read release, right? Because that takes a little bit too long. It's a little bit too much time. But, however, you see how he's able to get off this thing. He still gets off it fast. He gives him that 1-2, sells like he's going drag with what? Eyes, shoulders, hips. He's got great body language, great pad level. He's going to be in stride. He's going to be full speed, and he pops this thing off. Again, what did all 3 of these dive releases have in common? They break in stride. You see how they're not shortening up their steps. They're not dragging their back foot. They're not leaning back because they all know to be able to sell drag, be able to get this DB to turn his hips, I got to be able to sell like I'm just running. I'm trying to cross his face. I got to put the brakes on a dime, and the only way I can do that is by being sudden with my feet. That creates explosion, and you see here, Samuel understands. This is another key point about that dive release. When you guys are working back outside to make this DB really pay for committing his hips, we swat him by. We swat that elbow. We swat that shoulder. I can get some separation. I break this thing off, and quarterback gives me that shot. That's a great job by Samuel working this dive. Let's watch it again full speed. So he gives him that that 1-2, dive to the inside, 2 steps. Make sure we work my hand technique. Make sure, fellas, cannot stress this enough, that we sell that dive release. That's one of the most important things about this release. Selling like you're crossing his face, having speed, good pad level, good body language, and being able to cut right in stride. That's a great job by Samuel. All right, guys, I want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, if you're a receiver and you want to get better route running, you want a 10-day step-by-step process of the specific moves that you need to do, we break down everything from releases, stem, break point, acceleration, IQ, all the above. Check out that very first link in the description. It says improve your routes in 10 days. And also, if you guys have any questions, please leave those in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'll see you guys next time.